Welcome back everyone, today with another video for the upcoming month, which is April 2024. I was wondering what to expect, and this month it's a little bit different what I channeled, what I received. I have to say that it came with two different words. So for the month of April, we are asked, when I say we, it's the collective. I'm part of the collective, but at the same time, it's pretty much everyone on the planet. I wouldn't exclude anyone because that's concern everyone. Those two words are abandonment and rejection. Interesting ones. And it's particularly interesting because it's definitely placing us into a sensation, into a feeling, into deep, dark emotions. Being rejected, being abandoned, it happens on all different levels, but it always comes from a man or a woman, meaning whether it is friends, family, colleague, whatever. That we're going to be abandoned, we're going to be rejected. It's going to be from a man, or it's from a boy, it's going to be from a woman, or it's going to be from a girl. In that way, it comes from a man or for a woman. This situation happened to take us back to our parents, mother, father, but the situation can happen being rejected and abandoned from our own parents, because the parents' phase is to bring us back to our very own creator, which will be different depending on the name that you're giving. But for me, it will be the source or the universe, which creates all lives. So this is to understand that from that pain that we experience with abandonment and rejection coming from men or a woman, and bring us to our parents, which bring us to our creator, which is the source. Why having all this kind of transitioning of understanding of where does that come from, or why taking us in that direction? It's because it's to understand. And when I say that, it's to think about it, to understand, and to assimilate that understanding in order to move on into more work. There is always inevitably worthiness that will be connected to it. Worthiness, or yeah, being worthy is probably, if not the main pillar of existence here, the feelings and emotion. And I just did a video separate, explaining all of this and giving solution on how to put an end to that false belief of unworthiness, for instance. So when we are rejected and abandoned, we all, we all, consciously, unconsciously, but usually consciously and very loudly, are gonna ask, why did it happen? Why haven't been why I have been abandoned or rejected? Did I say something wrong? What did I say wrong? I must have done something wrong. I'm I shouldn't be worthy. That's the thing. It's because I'm not enough. That's why it didn't happen. That's why I've been abandoned and rejected, right? And in that way, you make the connection with worthiness. So it's even worse than anything else. But from that feeling, if we really stay with the pain, the feeling of loss, of rejection and abandonment, it's taking us down on lower vibration, and sometimes super low and super down on vibration, depending on the level of the pain, of depth of the pain. And depending on those levels, we're going to be in more or less darkness. And it's about understanding. That's why it was to bring back to the source, because it's about understanding. And so again, to assimilate the fact, the truth, that even darkness is created by the source, by the universe. The universe creates energy. Energy is everywhere, within each of us, each beings, within each thing. my notebook, a pen, my dress, between the gap, between the empty space in between. Energy is everywhere, even in the darkness. The light exists everywhere. That pure, beautiful white light of unconditional love, kindness, and compassion exists everywhere. But it can be difficult to feel it or to see it. Even in the darkness, light exists. It can be extremely dim, but it exists. It's there. And this is something that we shouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget that from the darkness, some life can be created. But the darkness being created by the source, this is part of the source. So there is no differences to create or to feel like darkness is the enemy. Because if there is something that we always have to remember and to keep in mind is that no matter what we are experiencing, we are for a very good reason, but we are experiencing for us because we have to understand something, we have to work on something. There is a life understanding, there is some healing to happen. It is happening for a reason, but for us. So darkness isn't the enemy. It's a state of feeling, it's a state of being because of the pain. Something that I definitely received at a download of information on the work that we have to do, because if it's not clear enough that we all have to work on the abandonment and the rejection issues that we have to understand and assimilate once again that those experiences that we probably definitely contracted represents some kind of force trigger in order for us to do some inner work, some introspection. Because obviously, when we are in those states, and I just said before, we're going to question, like, why did it happen to me? It was happening to me. Am I not enough? I shouldn't be enough in that way. So I'm not worthy of being loved. I'm not worthy of having contact, blah, blah, blah. We are questioning, but we are not asking the right questions. We are stuck in this loop of pain and in low vibration. Understandable. The experience of abandonment and rejection is created for forcing us at getting into introspection, at questioning our life deeper beyond the abandonment and the rejection. Like, what is happening into my life path wise, career wise, health wise, family, friends. Where do you live? How do you live? What do you do for pleasure? Do you do something for pleasure? How is your life? How are you? Those are the kind of the beginner state of questions in order to dig deeper on ourselves, to start healing, to start working on yourself, or to keep going in that direction. With that kind of work that we have to do, because it was clear what I downloaded, that this is something that has to happen, whether it is for some of you that you have to start to work on yourself, or for others that you have to keep going, that there are some stuff, but there will always be something. But I wanted to say that you may have started to work on something, but it's not finished, or keep moving, go to the next one. You know, just like layers of an onion. It's like one layer after another. We never stop, and we're never gonna stop working on it. That's be clear on it. There is this work of introspection, that working on ourselves, that is created and forced by those feelings of rejection and abandonment. We start to question why, not the right way, but by receiving this information, it's for us of not separating or not keep to separate those things. It's like you may have started to work on yourself in order to reconnect with who you are, with your true self, because that's the meaning of doing some introspection, is to find out who you are. It's to remember, it's to get to the truth, to get out of the matrix and the illusion, to remember, to reconnect with who you are. I'm definitely sure that I lost my thoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe go in a different direction. I'm sorry. But all of this happens, so yes, to reconnect with ourselves, but in order to keep elevating our frequencies and our vibration into this transitioning state where we are with the planet going into the 5D. But to say that it's because it is part of this phase, this transitioning of questioning, of understanding, of reconnecting with ourselves in order to elevate our frequency and to keep moving forward in the right direction, to remember, to get that awareness and that awakening, and to start, for some, to awaken, because this is there as well. So to understand that working on yourself, on your trauma, of understanding, of reconnecting with yourself, isn't different, isn't, it's not another thing than abandonment and rejection. Abandonment and rejection are created to force us to go into introspection and to start to work on ourselves. It is not a problem by itself, because everything is pretty much connected. Okay? So there might be something that has been said or has been done and that might have created the abandonment of a rejection, but once again, it happened because it has been contracted to happen that way. It happened for you for a reason. So it's questioning, but the right way, in order to understand why it happened. So yes, introspection, and yes, to work on yourself, to reconnect with yourself, to remember and to get the truth out of the matrix. But again, the rejection and the abandonment happen for understanding something else. It's two things, but it's one thing at the same time. If it makes any sense, I'm hoping so. Let me know down in the comments if you still get some problem of understanding. But by the end of the video, I'm sure it's going to be all good. Before I keep moving forward, because it's not done, the explanation and why and how we have to work on it, please, if it's not already done, subscribe to the channel, to like the videos, to comment. Comment down. How are you dealing when you are being abandoned or rejected? Do you deal better now that you have started to work on yourself? That would be a good question. Or did you have, did you separate that feeling as something completely apart? Because I found it that it was extremely interesting that abandonment and rejection are an open door to force us to work on ourselves. Damn, and nothing else. Follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can find me on my website and on Fiverr for some psychic readings and some channeling. This work of introspection, to reconnect with ourselves, to know who we truly are, has a goal, obviously, many goals, but one of them is to love ourselves. It's true, yeah, to be in love with ourselves, but to love ourselves first, before loving others, before wanting others to love us. It will happen, that's for certain. And if you really pay attention around you, I'm sure that you are loved and unconditionally loved. First, everyone deserves to be loved, but it has to start with ourselves first. That's the beginning of everything into that process. Because, again, a reminder that the source, the universe, or whatever you want to call it for you, and every creation that comes out of it, the energy going everywhere, it carries unconditional love, kindness, and compassion, not only for yourself, but for everyone else. And the most difficult part is probably for the one who are hurting others. Yeah, it's definitely the most difficult thing to do. And yet, this is something that we have to reach that state, because all of those people who are hurting, and do not forget that we are most certainly hurting others, consciously or unconsciously. Hopefully, if we have started to work on ourselves, it becomes unconscious because we are aware, we are being careful at understanding and not creating the situation. But it can happen so easily to unconsciously say something or do something and it's going to hurt someone. So everyone is hurting, but it is happening once again for a very good reason. Getting into that feeling of complete, yeah, kindness, compassion, and conditional love, because it exists everywhere, even in the darkness. It has its part, just like we all has a part in all of it. All of it. So what we need to remember for this month of April, what we have been asked to do. Again, to work on those feelings of abandonment and rejection that we all have experienced, and that we probably all haven't worked on it and properly worked on it. First, it's about understanding, and that's why I had that download, because it matters right away to understand that abandonment and rejection first, or this is something that we do contract to experiment, because they represent a way to force us into doing some introspection work, to dig deeper. It is not separate, it is part of that journey. So once we understand, once we assimilate that truth, it can move on. And every time that a situation is happening of being rejected or abandoned, it's like, okay, apparently I need to go back, dig into myself, because there is something that I hasn't started to work on, or that is not finished to work on. And that makes it easier, obviously. But with that awareness, it will be easier. We will not fall into that low vibration. We're going to be able to stay on higher vibration, because we really know that it's part of it. And it's because there is actually something to work on. Not on the abandonment or rejection, because there is something way more, way deeper, or maybe different. It depends. It could have said that for the month of April, you need to work on yourself. But the problem, by just giving this message for the collective and for everyone, it would have been separated abandonment and rejection, which matters to understand that this is an opening the door to do some work on ourselves. So it just means that for everyone who has started to work on ourselves, keep working. Maybe there is some element that hasn't been completely understood, maybe that you are aware of it. And at the same time, if not, it's really that it's time now to start to awaken, start to work on ourselves, start small, obviously, which I linked at the beginning with worthiness, that inevitably we are thinking about this. It's to first to separate it, because once again, everyone is worthy of existing, of receiving love, compassion, kindness, no question. But understanding that abandonment and rejection is created to forcing us into introspection and to work on ourselves, it is not creating or worsening a situation where we already have some difficulty with the belief of worthiness. That's why I had that download of information about abandonment and rejection, in order to go at working on ourselves, because it goes way more deeper and beyond all of this. And once again, I remind you that I just did a video on how to heal, how to get rid of that false belief of worthiness or unworthiness, depending on which side of the stick you want to see that. So please check the video. So once again, please share with everyone else, because it concerns everyone else. Everyone has experienced abandonment and rejection, and how much it can affect and keep us in low vibration and keep us in misery, which is absolutely not necessary once you know exactly what this is all about. It makes it all so much easier to keep moving forward and moving at understanding and healing. That please share, because that's just my goal, is to help others to heal, just like we all are. So we can really be fully all the time into this 5D frequency. Keep working on ourselves, because it's not going to be finished, but definitely without any of the low vibration, the unnecessary ones. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.